Hello, I bring tidings of great joy. The UK economy is doing okay. And that's news I didn't expect to hear at this juncture. Before I carry on, I'll tell you I'm Granny Opterix and I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab. That's where I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. All the links are in the description, including links to donation sites if you wish to use them. I'm always very grateful for that. But really, very grateful indeed for you just clicking that like button, because that apparently helps the algorithm. So please do that. Okay, yeah, and subscribe and click that notification button, bell, if you're on YouTube. Right, now let's just talk about this. And I'm going to go back to October 2013. So this guy, Matthew Lynn here, is a soothsayer. The trouble with soothsayers is you never know they're saying sooth until, well, after they've said it, and if the sooth comes out to be true. But in this case, yeah, Matthew Lynn, props to you wherever you are. What's the most surprising thing that could come out of the current economic upturn? A rapid revival in northern manufacturing, the city really getting behind small British businesses. Ed Balls, you can tell how old this is, admitting higher public spending wasn't always the best way to promote growth. Any of these eventualities would be fairly amazing, but the biggest surprise would perhaps be this: a gradual realisation that the UK is on track to become the largest economy in Europe. And that was in 2013. Now, at a time when nobody would have believed him. In the 19th century, the UK outproduced all of its European competitors, and it lost that position to Germany and France. In the next couple of decades, that pattern will start to reverse. Well, this was exactly 10 years ago. Well, more or less 10 years ago. So he's got the first decade already starting. I'll show you some of the results in other clips. So we're out of that first decade and we are into the second one, and we're heading in the direction that he said we would. The rankings were not okay. Never mind. Let's get on with the next one. So just another thing. Props to Matthew Lynn. Wherever you are, Matthew, I am impressed. I'm impressed. Okay. Next, the next one is this. This is in The Telegraph. Well, The Telegraph is always bigging up Britain, so you could take what they say with a pinch of salt, but not with what's coming next. British economy will outperform Germany this year, IMF admits. So the IMF, which has always been dooming and glooming about the British economy, is now actually saying, well, yeah, maybe. Now, hang on, back to Matthew Lynn. He was saying, I'm sorry, I didn't get to that bit. He was saying that the British economy would do better because it's not in the Eurozone. Of course, since he made that prediction in 2013, then there was Brexit, and there was terrible doom and gloom about that, wasn't there? And then there was the COVID thing, and yeah, well, that was the end of the world. None of those things derailed his original premise. Okay, Britain will outperform Germany this year, according to the IMF, after its worst fears for the UK economy failed to materialise. You know, when economists start predicting things, the IMF expects the UK economy to grow by 0.4% this year. Not exactly stellar, it said on Tuesday, confirming predictions published in May as part of its annual economic health check. This represents a big upgrade compared with the 0.3% contraction it predicted in April. Okay, yeah. When the UK was forecast to be the worst performing major economy in the world, including Russia. A couple of things interrupted that, didn't they? Including Russia, and Russia had already been at war for a year when they made this prediction. That is total nonsense. Okay, now let's see. HL. What's HL? No idea what HL is, but Why Germany's economy is struggling. We look at Germany's energy policies, industrial strategy and geopolitical standing. Well, look, let me just put forward a few things. First of all, after the cheat they did on their diesel car figures, I would not trust a German car anymore. And I used to trust them implicitly. They were always straight arrows, weren't they? Well, you got the idea. When a government and a business the size of the German car industry has to lie to prop up its sales, you know there's something wrong. It's not just the lying about the results. It's the whole business. They could see that they're teetering on a precipice and so daren't come out with the truth. So anyone should have realised that German industry was in trouble then. And how long ago was that? 4 years ago? I don't know. It's quite a while. Anyway, and then, of course, there's that marvellous scene. Now, if I can check it out, if I can find it again, I will put it up here. A bunch of German sophisticates in I think it was the UN, wasn't it, laughing at Trump and giggling their heads off with their rimless glasses glinting in the bright lights of the auditorium. Ha, 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 ha. Right. Back in May, it says here, this was from June. Investors may have noticed a strange occurrence. The International Monetary Fund upgraded the UK economic outlook. It said, buoyed by resilient demand, the UK economy is expected to avoid a recession and maintain positive growth in 2023. Well, you know, again, what I said about predictions, but that seems to be turning out. That was on the 23rd of May, 2023. Shortly after, on 25th of May, news came from Germany that its economy had shrunk for the second consecutive quarter, the official definition of recession. Germany, once the powerhouse of Europe, is now the only member of the G7 to see its economy contract. So I got a comment under one of my videos on one of my channels. I don't know which one. It said, oh, Germany is just bleeding itself because of America's demands that it support Ukraine. No. Germany is in trouble, not because of Ukraine, but because of its planning and strategies. First of all, it would have been in trouble from Russia anyway, war or not. Sooner or later, Russia would have exerted its influence on Germany with the threat of turning the taps off. The only difficulty then would have been that the rest of Europe would have just sat by and watched. But because there was a war, the rest of Europe came to Germany's aid, and so Germany didn't suffer as much as it would have done in other circumstances. That's the first thing. Germany isn't bleeding itself dry. Germany is giving a lot of old stock to Ukraine, and not that much of it anyway. Yeah, it's one of the worst performing aids for Ukraine. OK, yeah, now I'm going to irritate all those Russian bots and some thoughtful people as well on the Russian side. But I do have to say that they are dragging their feet. Whether you think that's good or not is another matter. Germany is not bleeding itself dry. As I said, there was something wrong before. From the minute those diesel figures came out, I knew there was something wrong with German industry. A whole industry and government involved in a colossal lie about their major product, motor cars. There's something deeply immoral rotting away at the heart of that government. It's just absolutely obvious. So, right, that's to answer that comment. Anyway, below we'll explore what's gone wrong. Yeah, well, what's gone wrong is they relied on their fuel coming cheap from Russia. You know, you get fat and lazy off cheap oil, don't you? And that's what happened to Germany. And then here they're talking about Germany's Russian problem and the energy problem. And then They have, they've got a problem with China. They put all their planning into these countries like Russia and China, who may seem like tempting markets. But there's a bear pit in front of the juicy morsel hanging from the tree branch. They are not reliable governments. No dictatorship is ever reliable. And of course, they always have this problem with France. Yeah, and what's it say? The ECB kicks you. What's the ECB? I don't know what the ECB is, but apparently it kicked Germany when it was down. Okay, let's look at the next one. And this is the BBC. UK economy made stronger recovery during COVID. So when the BBC has to say it, you can bet it's the very least of the truth. You know, the very end of it. If they say it made a stronger recovery, it probably means it made an absolutely splendid recovery. The UK economy made a stronger recovery. Data has now revealed that the economy was 1.6% bigger in the final 3 months of 2021 compared to pre-pandemic levels. So, well, this is, this 2 years old, that information, but they're just reporting it now. The previous figures said the UK economy was 1.2% smaller. The government said it showed those determined to talk down the British economy have been proved wrong. They certainly have. The Office for National Statistics said changes were mainly because it had richer data from its annual survey. I read here in one of these that only Britain and America have actually given revised figures on their economic performance. France and Germany, they haven't revised their figures at all. They haven't issued new figures. They are keeping very quiet. And that might be because they're in a worse situation than even we know about here. And is there one more thing? Yeah, this is a Bloomberg article. Let's see what the date is. May 2023. The fund warns against premature celebrations as inflation slows, and improving European Union relations boost UK growth prospects. Of course, they'd have to say that. Can't be anything to do with the fact that Britain has made trade deals with all sorts of countries all over the world, which is what Britain has always done, and which has always been the strength of the British economy. And, I'm not a member of the Bloomberg clan, so all we can say is the UK economy will grow faster than Germany this year and avoid a recession, the International Monetary Fund said. So it's not just the Telegraph talking up. And, isn't that nice? And so we can all celebrate. Yeah, I would celebrate, but it's lunchtime, and if I have alcohol at lunchtime, it always makes me sleepy, and we're going out this afternoon, so I'll leave it at that. Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.